Cheerio, welcome to the parlor. Care for a cuppa? I'm Evan one, you're Evan one, eh Rodney? This is the Rose Witchcraft channel once again, and today my pal Rodney is here and we're spilling some tea. So, the first points for tea leaf reading that I will discuss are the tools that you need to do this type of reading. So, first of all, the tea. I highly recommend using a very high quality whole leaf loose tea to do tea leaf readings and not using a cut open tea bag or a type of blend. It's just going to be easiest to find symbols when you're using just a straight high quality tea. So when you're starting out, I think that is really the only good option. Later on, when you are consistently able to find symbols in every cup that you read, then you can experiment with reading some different types of herbal teas. For example, if you're doing a love reading, you could use a tea that has rose petal in it, or if you're doing a reading for finance, you could use one that has peppermint or even basil. But until you are used to it, I would highly recommend just sticking with plain black or green loose leaf tea. Secondly, you will need a cup. And these are cups that I purchased specifically for the purpose of tea leaf readings, and I chose them based on some very specific parameters. One, there's no images on the inside of the cup. It's completely blank canvas. And while this cup does have scalloping on the outside, on the inside it does not. It's completely smooth. So to me, this is the perfect tea leaf reading cup because it's a totally blank canvas. There are cups available commercially that are tea leaf reading cups that have all these areas on the cup like distinguished by lines, and there's all kinds of symbols all over it. I've seen ones that have the horoscope signs on there for some reason, and I wouldn't recommend buying one of those unless maybe later when you're, I don't know. No, I wouldn't recommend buying one at all. I just think that it's unnecessarily distracting to have all these additional symbols already in the cup when what you're trying to do in reading your cup is find symbols that are made by the leaves, not that are already printed on there. And another key point on the cup is that you will need a saucer. So you do need to use a teacup, not a mug, and you need to have a saucer. Minimum. Also, you cannot use a strainer to make your cup of tea. Then the leaves will be inside the strainer and not inside the cup. So how are you going to read them like that, I ask? You aren't. So instead, just get a teaspoon, measure out approximately half a teaspoon of tea, and just right into the cup. Pour water over the leaves, just as you normally would, nice hot water, and allow the tea to steep for whatever amount of time is specified for the type of tea that you're using. Usually a good rule of thumb is around 5 minutes. Make sure that you are not adding milk or cream to the tea. If black tea is too strong for you to drink straight, then either use green tea or just let the tea leaves get softened by the hot water and then pour most of it out and then slosh and read. If you use sugar or milk, it will cause the leaves to clump together and it will be really difficult to read them. However, that being said, if you actually drink the tea and not chugging it back, like you're sitting with it, you're drinking it, you're thinking about your life or about your question, you're infusing this water, this tea, with your intention, with your own energy, and that's going to give you a more accurate reading. And this is bad tea etiquette. Like, it's not proper English tea manners. But if you hold the cup with your palm instead of just holding it by the handle, you have chakras in your palms. And so you're directly putting your energy into the cup, into the tea when you hold it this way. So I would say if you're doing a tea leaf reading, to the devil with the rules and just hold it with your palm. You are also going to have loose tea kind of like floating on the surface of your teacup while you're drinking it. I find you get used to it pretty quickly. It's only weird if you're not expecting it and you go to take a sip and then suddenly there's a leaf in your mouth. If you know they're in there, it's not so bad. Okay, now slow your roll. When you get close to the bottom of your teacup, don't drink completely all of the tea out of it. Leave like, can you see that? This much tea. This much tea left. Maybe a tiny bit less. Now this is the part that is a little bit difficult and does kind of take some practice. Sloshing. I'm actually already seeing a symbol in this cup. I don't know if you can see. It's a bird though, like a crow probably, knowing me. Right here is his beak, and then the wings are like extending out this way. Anyways, time to slosh. Okay, so you just try and slosh the liquid around the entire cup. And the point of this is to disperse the leaves evenly around the cup itself. It's best done over a sink or somewhere where you're not going to make a huge mess, but I'm going to do it right here and we'll see what happens. Oh, see, I got it on myself. And then when you've got most of the water kind of like sloshed around or sloshed into the sink ideally, then you can turn your cup over onto your saucer. It's a little damp, that's okay. And now this is where many readers like to turn the cup thrice on the saucer, clockwise. And this achieves two things. It gives you one last opportunity to infuse your intention into the cup in the reading, and it dislodges any loose leaves. Now, the moment of truth. Turn over the cup. And reading, oh wow. See, once you get good at it, you'll start to see symbols right away. When you're starting out, you need to think about tea leaf reading as being similar to trying to see shapes in the clouds. If you've ever laid on the ground as a child and looked up at the clouds and gone, that one looks like a hippo. That's what you need to do, except instead of looking at the sky, you're focusing your mind on the cup. And this is another aspect that takes finesse, but if you have experience with other types of divination, this part may come a little bit more easily to you. You need to let your mind be calm and be soft and be open, but within the bounds of this cup. So your focus doesn't leave the edge of this cup, but within the field of the cup, you are able to allow your mind to kind of be fluid and be open to seeing those shapes and receiving those messages. Like I mentioned before, Tasseography, tea leaf reading is one of many, many different types of divination. No one form is more superior to another. Each one of them is just a way for us to kind of like trick our brain into letting us access information that normally would be obscured from us because we believe that we can't see it. So the divination technique is just the way of like, it's like a loophole for you to get into like collective memory or the Library of Alexandria or whatever you want to call it. Not Alexandria. Oh, R.I.P. Library of Alexandria. The Akashic Records. That's what I meant. Okay, so as soon as I turned this cup over, I saw a crab. I don't know if you can see him, but he's like right in the bottom of the cup there. These are his claws, and that's his like little head and his little crab feet at the bottom there. He's like... And I'm a Cancer, sun sign Cancer, so again, I got my crow and I got my horoscope sign in the bottom. So that's a reading that's looking pretty good for me. Some other points on reading the cup. Oftentimes with tea leaf reading, people aren't looking for the answer to a specific question. Sometimes they are, and if they are, a big, huge symbol right in the bottom of the cup like this is exactly what you want. It's perfect. It's an answer. However, oftentimes people who come for a tea leaf reading, or if you're doing it for yourself, you're not necessarily asking a specific question. You're more so just kind of wondering generally about the future. And so the way that I was taught is that you place the handle toward the querent. This is my cup, so I'm placing it toward myself. And the timeline runs from the left of the handle, like the very first piece is like the next month. And then 3 months, 9, like a clock, until you get to next year over here on the other side of the handle. And if you have leaves that are really close to the edge of the cup, then that means it will happen at the start of that month. And if you have them closer to the bottom of the cup, that means it will happen closer to the end of that month. So that actually does make tea leaf reading kind of unique in comparison to other types of divination, in that the modality itself has a pretty specific timeline already built into the information that you're receiving. For myself, I wasn't really thinking about a year-long reading as I did this. In fact, I wasn't really thinking about the reading itself, if I'm completely honest. And in doing that and just coming and sitting with it with no expectations, the symbols that I received were just very strong symbols, kind of reminding me who I already am. So it just goes to show how accurate divination can be when we give it the opportunity to do so. I'm also seeing a spiral right here in my cup. It almost looks like a chokure, but not quite. It doesn't have the line across the top. But of course, the spiral is very strong bit of symbolism. And depending on how you look at it, you could look at that and think, oh no, I'm on a downward spiral. Or you could look at that and see the Fibonacci spiral, see the golden ratio. So depending on how you want to interpret a symbol that you find in your cup, right? And sometimes you won't know what a symbol means to you until you read someone else's description of what it means and go, no, that is not right. And those are very valuable moments in a witch's life, to be able to read something and then immediately know, no, that is not what I think about this at all. And that's another thing. Like I mentioned, the main tool you need is the notebook, your grimoire. You write it in there. You can write, William Hewitt says this means blah, 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 and I disagree. So for me, in the context of this cup, I'm going to read the spiral as a healing, a symbol of healing, a symbol of the divine feminine, and like I mentioned, kind of that golden ratio. Think of it as a clock. 1, 2, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. And if you get a big symbol right at the bottom of the cup when you are intentionally doing a year reading, that is something that's going to be either significant throughout the entire year, or it's going to be what that year, what kind of defines it or what it culminates to. And like I mentioned, you can also read the saucer. It's a little bit more delicate to do because the saucer actually still has the tea on it from when you flip the cup over. Really can't allow yourself to second guess your first impression too much, because when you see a symbol, if you go, oh yeah, I think that's a bull, and then you go, no, it can't, it's not, it won't be, it can't be. It's one thing if you kind of look at it and you go, is it maybe this? And then you keep turning the cup or saucer, keep turning it, looking at it from different angles. And again, with that soft focus, like if you practice yoga, place your drishti, your soft gaze, soft focus into the cup. Ooh, something else I meant to do earlier and I forgot. This is some full moon water, and I just came up with the idea earlier this afternoon as I was preparing to make this video that why not add a little bit into your tea when you're going to do a reading, just to boost the power of that reading and to help like shine some light into the dark question of the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful to you. If it was, please let me know. Leave me a comment or like it or whatever you want to do to tell me that you enjoyed it. And if you do perform a tea leaf reading for yourself, and if you would feel comfortable sharing, I would love to know what type of images came up in your tea. Merry meet, merry part. Merry meet again. Blessed tea. Okay, Rodney, let's see what you got in your cup. Oh my. It says you're dead.